Hey everybody, Unstable Gamer here, and welcome back to Marvel Realm of Champions. In this video, this game has been out for 3 months, going on 4 months now, and so what I want to take a look at are the top 5 concerns that I have for this game right now in its current form. We're going to jump into that, but first, before we do, if you're just now finding this channel and you want to stay up to date with this and other games, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out. All right, and welcome back. Just a quick reminder, all the links to my social media are in the description below, so definitely check that out. I do stream this on Twitch. The link is in the description below as well. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So first, I just want to say, I do love this game. I have a lot of fun going in and playing this game, jumping into Arena and the different game modes in here. I have friends that I jump into the game with, and we have fun on stream, and we have some good teams. We have some good days. We have some bad days, and I think that's one of the things that I do love about this game is that it is up and down, right? You have some really good days, and you have a lot of fun, and then there's just some of those days that drive you nuts. So when I think about those days that just drive me nuts, I think about why. What are my biggest concerns with this game, and why does it drive me nuts so much? Other than losing, you don't want to lose. First, is the equipment system. The equipment system is just extremely cumbersome, in my opinion. It's also very heavily dependent on RNG. There's no planning this at all. It all comes from crystals, and it's RNG from the crystals. Now, we do have where you can go in and it cycles through different champions, and then you can get specific rare or epic crystals for those champions. But still, the equipment that you get, the equipment type or weapon or whatever, is still very much RNG specific. So it's just, you end up scrapping more than you keep. You know, I mean, I'm going through and I'm thinking about some of the gear that I get, even epic gear. You get epic gear, and your rare gear that you already have on has better stats than your epic gear. The epic gear with this equipment system it doesn't feel epic. And the fact that epics were released so quickly after launch and you can get very, very easily, it kind of dilutes it, in my opinion. So the equipment system, the variant system, where you have to go, if you want a different variant, you got to be lucky enough. Your RNG has to be good enough in order to get that from a crate or a crystal. You can't really, there's no really good way to farm towards something that you want other than the RNG factor. So that is my biggest concern when it comes to the equipment system in this game. It's just way too heavily RNG focused, which really what that does is it basically says if you have the money to put into the game, you'll get what you want eventually, but it's going to cost, and it's going to cost a lot. So just something that kind of frustrates me, I guess, right now. Now, when you get a good piece of gear, it's awesome. I mean, I think right now a lot of the gear that everybody's looking for is health regen gear, but that's my thoughts on the equipment system. The next is the synergy system. I like the synergies. I like the fact that you got to pair some up. Sometimes you need 2 of the same type. Sometimes you need 3. I do like that. I like the fact that they've now added synergies to the weapons, which I think is pretty cool. But the problem is, it is again very much heavily reliant on RNG. You can't do a series of quests for a specific synergy type. You just have to continually open crates and continually open crystals, and you don't even get a guaranteed chance of getting a synergy. Now, one thing that might help, I think it really contributes to kind of what I'm talking about, this whole thing too, but synergy crystals. You know, that's a thought. I'm sure that's probably been thought of, but synergy crystals, and maybe synergy crystals specific around those synergies, the synergies that we have in the game. So if you want to get, I don't know, if you want Realm Reaver synergy, then go and get some Realm Reaver crystals. And at least you know you're going to get the Realm Reaver synergy. You don't know what piece of equipment it's going to generate on, but at least you'll get that. I don't know. That's just a thought. Maybe I'm just, crazy over here. But the synergies, it's just very much RNG dependent. And again, if you can put hundreds of dollars into this game, you'll eventually get the synergies that you want. And I think the larger player base just can't do that. doesn't want to do that. Because it just gets really expensive, right? So those two things are huge on my list right now, and probably two of my biggest frustrations. And when it comes to just backtrack a little bit on the equipment system and the variants, I know that we have a transmog system coming, so I'm really looking forward to that. One thing I am hoping for on that is I'm hoping that any type of equipment that you've previously had is captured somewhere in your player file, somewhere in the data attached to your character, so that anything that you've previously collected but had to scrap because of inventory space or whatever is captured, so that when a transmog system is put in place, you can go ahead and use those. I don't know if that's going to happen, but there's my 2 cents on the transmog. Next, matchmaking. Matchmaking is so up and down, and I think when it comes to frustration for me and when I want to throw my freaking phone across the damn room is when, like earlier today, I was in Arena playing with one of my lower BR champions who's around 800 right now. It was me and a couple other champions who were around 8, 9, and one that was around 1,000, and we went up against opponents who were 1,100 and higher. That doesn't make sense to me, and I think really that what that speaks to right now also is the player base, which is also a challenge, because the player base, at least from my view, from the lens that I'm looking into the game, constantly seeing the same people over and over, which is great. We got some great people, some great players. We got people on Discord and everything, awesome people that I've met through this game, which is cool. But when you're seeing the same people all the time, every single time that you get into these battles, it makes me think that the player base is still fairly small. And this game's been out for almost 4 months. So I think that in and of itself is a challenge. And that's probably a challenge for the developers as well, when you have a finite number of players and how you matchmake them. And one thing I will say, it doesn't matter. This game, any other game. Those of you who've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I play a number of different games. Every single game that I've played, every single PvP system has the same challenge, and that's the matchmaking challenge. It's just in PvP. I guess it's one of the most difficult hurdles from my lens, from what I can see, and the feedback I've seen in Discords and talking with developers and stuff. It's got to be one of the most challenging hurdles ever. So there's my 2 cents on matchmaking. That's really the crux of my issue when I want to throw my phone. Next is auto targeting. I've talked about this. York Rock and I have talked about this in our streams and stuff. The auto targeting can get very, very frustrating, because you can be right next to your opponent that you want to hit, and it's not going to hit. It hits the other way, which makes no sense to me at all. I was in a battle where I was in the middle of the doggone arena, pointing north towards my opponents, and I hit my heavy, and it went south. It went behind me, which, again, doesn't make sense. So the auto-targeting is very frustrating at times, because when you have a game so focused on making sure that you hit your right targets, you prioritize your targets with your team, and when you're not hitting those targets, when you can't communicate, your teammates are probably saying, "What the hell are you doing?" And when you can communicate, your teammates are saying, "What the hell are you doing?" Right? So it's just very frustrating on that. So I think something that would be very cool is along with auto targeting, allow for tap targeting, but allow for allow for the barriers to take place. So if you're trying to hit somebody on the other side of a barrier, you tap them, it's just going to hit the barrier. If you've got your cap, now a lot of you who play caps are using your shields to protect your teammates behind you, right? Take up a lot of that damage. Now tap targeting is not going to get through that shield. I think the developers probably have a good way of maybe figuring that out. I don't know how difficult it is. I know developing a game is extremely difficult, and there's a lot of facets, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that you can't account for until it gets implemented into the game. Because in a test environment, things can run perfect, but when you take that exact same thing and you run that and you take that into a worldwide environment, then there's a whole lot of things that can happen, right? But the auto-targeting, again, very frustrating. That's number 4 on my list. hopefully something can be done about that. I really think the tap targeting would be awesome. Next is bots and bugs. I named it bots and bugs. The bots in this game are very, very frustrating as well. There's a number of times where, I mean, I was just in the World Quest today, and one of the bots face planted into a wall and stayed there. Did nothing. Did nothing. Just face planted into a wall, and that was it. I mean, we were able to get through it because I think the World Quest is fairly easy this time around. But or when I'm in the arena and you have one of the bots just rush the Bodock. Why? So that can be very frustrating. I think the bot AI, and I know the developers have been working on it, and I'm sure it's again a very difficult thing to do. But the bot AI is pretty poor, and it's very challenging, especially when you go into the solo arena. Now, yes, this game is very much a team-based game. I get it 100%. That is the main focus of this game, is PvP and team-based. But you got to get in there and you got to do some solo play too. I mean, it's going to happen. You can't always get into a team. Or like me, I do a ton of solo play, and I do a bunch of team play as well. But when you have to rely on bots that faceplant into a wall or stutter in the middle of the arena or even run out of the arena, it just makes what you're trying to do in the solo arena as a player much more difficult, much more frustrating. And then other than that, just kind of the other things, the other bugs and stuff that we run into, there's a lot of game crashes still. There's a lot of attacks. I mean, I've mentioned this a few times. I try and get my attacks off, my SP3s, my SP2s, whatever. And a lot of the times they do not go off. I can even make sure that I'm highlighting where I want my attack to go and who I want it to attack. And a lot of times that does not go off. So that's a challenge that you have to work around and navigate through as well in this game. So there you go. There's my frustrations on this game. I do love this game. I have a lot of fun with it. Again, I have a lot of fun playing with my friends in this game. I have a lot of fun streaming this game. But there are frustrations. And just to kind of run through the list really quick, again, it's equipment. The equipment system is too RNG heavy. The synergies are too RNG heavy. The matchmaking really needs some help. The auto-targeting really needs some help, and tap targeting would be great. And then the bots and the bugs. The bots AI is just crazy. It's just crazy. And then the crashes and stuff like that, and the attacks and stuff. So there's my frustrations with this game. But very curious on your thoughts. What do you think of this list that I have here? Other than what's on this list, what are some concerns that you have about this game? Because what I'd really like for this video to be in the comment section for this video is to be a good feedback tool as well. Because if the developers do end up watching this, that would be awesome, and be able to get this feedback. I want the feedback too also to be constructive. So if you do leave feedback in the comment section below, please be constructive. Let's not bash or anything like that, because they are working hard. They are working hard on a game that is probably fundamentally and technically very difficult to put together. All right, everybody, there you go. Those are my thoughts. That is what I had for you. As always, I want to thank you all for taking the time to watch the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comment section below. Take care, everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.